Good morning and welcome to Preaching with Nikki. I'm Melissa Whitkey. Nikki is sitting here with me on the floor, but she doesn't want to be in the video. So anyway, it'll be just you and me today. Thanks for joining. I have a message that I want to share today. We're on to our third lesson. I'm going to try to speed things up a little bit. I know people have been asking me, what's the next lesson? What's the next lesson? And I apologize, life has been a little crazy. But today's message, I'm going to put it kind of out of order because this one kind of came to me this weekend, and so I want to share it with you. I actually spent quite a bit of time encouraging some people over the weekend and at the end of last week, and so this message kind of just called out, and it also in my own life. The message of the day is, life and Kung Fu will knock you down. Have you ever had, I know you have, times in your life where things are hard? Times in your life where things aren't going the way you want them to go? Times in your life where things seem a lot harder than they should be? Well, this is where this message comes from. Life and Kung Fu will throw you down to the ground. And it's always in those moments when we're thrown to the ground that we have a choice to make. We have a choice to make whether or not we stay there, lick our wounds, feel sorry for ourselves, or do we bounce up and get up stronger? It's hard sometimes, right? When we expect something to go one way and it doesn't. We expect things to be a little bit easier, or we expect a door to open and you're standing there and you're banging on that door and it's still not opening, right? Have you been there? I know you have. Everyone who's lived life for any period of time has been, right? We have disappointments. We get knocked down. We don't get the job. We don't get the, whatever it is we're working towards. We don't get the grade that we worked really hard, that we studied really hard for. We don't get the recognition. We don't get the thanks that we feel like we deserve. We get disappointed in life. We lose jobs, right? People get fired, even if it had nothing to do with you. I told you on one of my videos previously that my husband lost a very lucrative contract at a time that he was the only provider in our family. And it was for him and another employee, so it wasn't just for him. And we lost it not because of something that he did, but because someone lied about him. And it's a long, complicated story. That was a huge disappointment to our family and almost brought us to the edge where we almost lost our home, lost everything. It was a really tough time for us. These things happen. This is what happens in life, right? You have an enemy that's roaring around like a hungry lion, we read in 1 Peter, right? That's what Peter talks about is Satan, right? Is the devil. He's roaring around looking for someone whom he can devour, right? So that's what happens in life. We get knocked down, right? Things happen that we don't expect. Things happen that we don't like. Life is not easy. Anyone who says it is hasn't lived very long, or maybe living a life that maybe they could share with the rest of us who have had it hard. So I want to share something that happened to me this weekend. And it's just an analogy. It really is not, in the scheme of things, it's not a big deal, but I want to walk you through the emotions that I went through and how I overcame it, because I think that's what the important part of is sharing when life knocks us down, sharing with other people to encourage them to know that, it doesn't just happen to you, it happens to all of us. And this is a minor thing. But for me, it was a time to pause and reflect and ask questions. And so what happened was, I told you I'm on this journey, right? This series is called Red to Black in Kung Fu and in life. And so I'm on this journey to get my black belt in Kung Fu. And as I said from the start of this series, this is an analogy for life lessons. This is what God has been teaching me a lot of lessons along this journey. And so here's another one for me. So I told you that the testing period is 9 to 12 months, right? The minimum is 9 months, and usually the maximum that you're gonna have to do is 12 months in a row of testing. And so after my 7th test, which was this weekend, I go in a room with my teacher and all the other black belts, and they decide whether or not I'm going to finish in 9, 10, 11, or 12 months. And for some reason, I kind of had it in my heart that I was gonna finish in 9 months. Well, that actually is not going to happen. And it was a hard thing to hear. So I walk into this room and my teacher, Shurfu, is standing there, and he tells me a few good things. They see how hard I'm working, and they see some improvement in me and the things that they want to see or they need to see for us to, even talk about finishing, right? Talk about having that black belt handed to you. But he said that they're not going to decide today, or they weren't going to decide, that they're going to wait until my next test to decide. But most likely I'm looking at least 10 months of testing. okay, it doesn't sound like a big deal. In retrospect, it isn't. But when you're there, so put yourself in my shoes. I guess I had it in my mind. Someone else I'm testing with was just told that he's finishing in 9 months. So probably that was in my mind. I really felt like I'm working harder than I've ever worked at anything in a really long time in my life. But for some reason, he said that he thinks they can bring me up higher. But in that moment, all I heard was, you're not going to finish when you thought you're going to finish. And I was biting my lip, my tongue, whatever I could bite so that I wouldn't cry. And to be honest, that's the emotion that came out. I'm human, like every one of us. When we get disappointed, we cry, or we feel bad, or we have some emotion that comes out. I was sitting in a room with all of these people, and I didn't want to cry in front of them. But I did say to my teacher, I said, I am disappointed, and I'm trying really hard not to cry. And I'm getting emotional right now, even just thinking about it. And so I listened to them, and they were all encouraging me, and I walked out, and I had to leave immediately because I knew I was going to burst into tears. Okay, it's who I am. That's who I am. I'm very emotional, and I'm okay with that. Okay, I'm not embarrassed of the fact that I was going to cry. I'm not embarrassed of the fact to admit that I was disappointed, that I had hoped I could finish in 9 months. It's something I've worked really hard at for a really long time. So I grabbed my stuff before anyone could see me really, and I ran out to my car and I started driving away. And what happened next? Okay, I did burst into tears. But then what happens next? When something doesn't go the way we want it to, what's the first thing that happens, right? I don't know, for me, the next feeling is that you get angry. You're basically like, screw this, right? Forget it, I'm not gonna do this anymore. Why should I have to do this? Why should I have to even push harder? I'm doing as hard as I can. Why don't they recognize you? Have all these, right? Your ego, right? Your ego comes out strong and battling, right? Your ego wants to say, it's not you, it's them, right? They're not treating you fairly. All of these lies come up, and they're lies, right? Who isn't tempted in that moment to get angry instead of learning the lesson that's there in front of you? Who among us actually in those moments can quickly say, you know what, this is not a bad thing. This is going to give you more time to work with them. This is going to give you more time to rise up higher. And it's something that I've always said, right? I always said, if I'm going to get my black belt, I want it to count. I don't want them to hand me something that I didn't work hard for. I don't want them to hand me something that I didn't deserve. But it wasn't even that easy to shut it down. So I worked long enough on me with God and reading this book every single morning to know what I was supposed to learn there. But I came home and I burst into tears again, and my husband was talking to me and holding me, and it really wasn't about the black belt. It really wasn't about the extra 1-2 months. Even if I have to go all the way to 12 months of testing, I can do that. I'm tough. I'm actually tougher than people even would know by looking at me. I'm so tough because God has put me through so much. He's taught me strength that I never knew I even had inside of me. I've had a lot of disappointments in life. And so I've had to be tough, right? And so this is just another opportunity for me to be tough. But what I realized in talking to my husband and talking to God is that this was just pushing buttons in me and reminding me of times where life didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, and I was reliving. It had nothing to really to do with this test. So what if I have to do a few more months? Really no big deal. But it was pushing buttons in me that reminded me of other times that I was knocked down on the mat, when I was knocked down on the ground by life, where things didn't work out for me, and I was reliving those painful moments in my life where life was harder than I thought it would be. Life was harder than I thought I could manage to go through. But God will never give us anything that we can't handle. God will never give us anything that we have to go through alone. God is always standing there with us, right? If we go into the fire, he's there with us, right? Those 3 Hebrew teenagers, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, where they get thrown into a fiery furnace. I don't know if you've read that. I can't remember where it is. I would have to find it for you. But they get thrown into the fiery furnace, and it gets turned up hotter. The king is killing them because they will not bow down to his God. He was an idol worshiper, and King Nebuchadnezzar. And those 3 teenagers said, no, we will die before we bow down before your idol, your God. And in that fiery furnace, the king looks in the door, and instead of seeing 3 bound teenagers, he sees 4 people, and one resembles the Son of God. And they come out, and they don't even smell like smoke, right? He couldn't kill them. Jesus was there with them. So that's something that I've learned in my life. I never have to go through anything alone, even if it's really, really hard. I shared with you the time when my mom died and my husband had lost this huge contract, and he went into like some sort of a breakdown. I think we were both in a time of just emotional breakdown. But he wasn't available to me, and my mom wasn't available to me, and I felt more alone than I've ever felt in my life. And in those moments when I was screaming out to God, I didn't think I could handle the pain anymore, what he gave me was more strength. I wanted him to change my circumstances. He didn't do that. He was teaching me to be stronger. He was teaching me that he was with me. He was teaching me that I am so much stronger because he is in me. So what did I do? All right, so I got through this weekend, and Sunday I had a beautiful experience. I went down to the Bible Museum with friends, with my husband and my daughter and a friend, and we had the greatest day. And going to the Bible Museum was a beautiful experience for me, because I know that this is truth. I know that all the answers to the problems in my life are in this book. But then I came home and it was getting late. It was about 6:15, and I said to my husband, and I was tired. It's been a long week. The tests drained me. Saturday's test, my black belt test drained me, and then, we're walking around this museum in downtown DC all day. I said I'm gonna go for a run. And on this run, I decided, my normal pace, I'm running for the first mile at my normal pace. It was beautiful. It was cold though. Like it was windy and cold, and I was, decided I'm gonna do it anyway. That's what I do. I kind of push past my feelings. I've gotten really good at that. So I'm running, and then something kind of came alive in me. And I remember what my teacher said. He said, if you're gonna go run, he goes, run for as fast as you can, for as long as you can, and then stop and walk, and then do it again, and do it again. So what I was doing is I was running these intervals every 10th of a mile, because where I run, there's markers every 10th of a mile. I would walk 10th, and I would run as fast as I can for the next 10th. And I'd walk a 10th, and I'd run the next 10th of a mile as fast as I can. And I did this all the way around the park. And I said, you know what? I'm tougher than what's before me. I can do anything through Christ who is my strength. And something came alive in me and said, you know what, bring it. Okay, if this is not 9 months, if it's 10 months, if it's 11 months, if it's 12 months, I'm not giving up. I'm not gonna let a few extra tests defeat me. I'm not gonna let a few extra tests stand in front of something that I've worked this hard to achieve. So what? And you know what? I can rise up higher. And you know what? This is gonna bring out strength in my life that I can use for other things. There's nothing sadder to me than people who get knocked down in life and stay there. My husband has a friend who lost a big job, a very big job, about 15 years ago, and he still hasn't recovered from that. And he's got a million reasons why he hasn't. And I think there's nothing sadder than being stuck at the point of your pain. Joyce Meyer says, don't park at the point of your pain. And I'm telling you, don't. You have to get up and start swinging, right? Okay, that's what Kung Fu tells us. Someone knocks you down. I'm telling you, when you're going into a sparring class, especially as in our black belt testing, we have to do 2-on-1 sparring, you're gonna get hit. You're gonna get hurt. It's just, you have 4 fists swinging at you and 4 legs swinging at you. There's no friggin' way you're going to block them all. Saturday's test, I got punched right in the face. I didn't see it coming. I was looking over here and he just got me. And I could feel my lips swelling. And it just is, we're gonna get hit. We're gonna get knocked down. They're gonna take you down. In advanced sparring, one of the things we're allowed to do is takedowns, right? Because if you're in a real fight, someone's gonna try to knock you down to the ground. And so you have to be ready for that. And the opportunity that you have in that moment is to bounce back up stronger, to get mad, and use every bit of strength that you have to go after the other person. That's usually what happens to me. I get mad when I get knocked down. But that's the analogy to life. Life will knock every one of us down. But your character is developed by what you do. Your character is developed by what you do when life is hard. It is hard, I understand. I have had a lot of challenges in my life, and I have a lot of conversations with God about why he seems to take me the hard way through things. So much of my life hasn't been easy. So much of my life has been having to fight my way through. But now I understand, okay, if it's not turning out the way I want it to, there's another lesson I'm supposed to learn. There's something else God is trying to teach me. I need to open my eyes and ask, okay, God, what are you trying to show me in this moment? And learn the lesson, right? because I'm not going to quit. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to quit. I shared in my last book about so many disappointments. You know, I shared that I went to Columbia University. I was really proud to get into that school. I never believed I was meant to be there, or I never believed enough in myself to stay there. And I did well in the classes, but I just always felt like, you know, one day they're going to say to me, who are you and what the heck are you doing here? I didn't believe enough in myself to get up that time and start swinging. I did finish school, and I finished with a 3.95 GPA. I was very proud of myself, but not the school that I worked so hard to get into. I let life knock me down that time. I let Satan lie to me. I let him tell me all the things that I wasn't going to be or couldn't be, but I've learned. I'm not that person anymore. I'm a person when life knocks me down, I'm going to get up and I'm going to swing harder. Yeah, I may spend a day or so feeling sorry for myself or just struggling to work through the lesson that God has for me, but I won't quit. I was talking to my brother this weekend, and he's going through a lot of things in his life, but he's really, for the first time, looking at what's really been holding him back. And he told me that he feels like he self-sabotages himself. Oh boy, don't we all do that at some times in our life? If you don't feel good enough about your life, if you haven't had enough wins in your life, sometimes you feel like you don't deserve great things. I had another friend who I was encouraging on Friday, and she said to me, you know, I'm afraid of not doing something, and I'm also afraid that what if I do it and it takes off and I don't know what to do and I can't handle it. And I said to her, you know what? Let me tell you two things. If it takes off and you have to scramble to figure out how to do it, I said, that's a great thing. That's what you want to happen. And you will figure it out, and you'll have people around you to help you. And the fear of not doing something, you need to have more fear of getting to the end of your life without having done what you're here for on this planet than to ever worry about starting. Go after everything you can in life. Go after it boldly. We're supposed to come boldly to the throne of God and ask for what he has for us. My message to you is the same message it's been in every other message I've presented, whether it's in my writing or in my speaking. What I want you to know is God has a plan for your life, and it's a plan for good. Go after it. Grab hold of it. Don't be afraid. Jesus said, fear not, for I am with you. What's inside of us is so much more powerful than anything that's in the world, Jesus said. Right? Stronger is he that is in you than he who is in the world. We're not supposed to fear what's in the world because we know that God is with us. So again, you're here for greatness. You are here to fulfill your destiny. And like you and like me, we're going to get knocked down. This is part of life. This proves our strength. This proves our faith, right? If you don't believe you have anything great to do, you may not get up. But if you have faith and you know God's taking you someplace, you get up stronger. You say, okay, that's all you got, Satan? That's all you got? I'm stronger than that. I don't know about you. I'm stronger than that. And I'm going to get up and I'm going to keep swinging in every area of my life. I'm not going to let anything stand in the way between me and what I believe God wants me to do. And Kung Fu is just a piece of my journey. It's something that's teaching me life lessons. It's teaching me physical strength and endurance and persistence. So this disappointment in my life was just that. So what? There's a reason for it. There's a lesson. I'm going to rise up higher because of it. I have this message for you because of it, right? We can't have a testimony without a test, right? So I ask you to bounce back. I ask you to use the strength that Jesus has for you. I ask you to know that you're never alone. I ask you to fight back when life fights you. It's going to knock you down. But you know what I know? That with God, all things are possible. So have a great day. God bless you and keep you. And I'll be back soon with the next lesson. Thanks for this time. Take care.